Hello, welcome to this tutorial on supply. So the first thing that's required is a definition of supply. So go ahead and see if you can pause the video and define supply, please. So what you should have got is that supply is the quantity of a good or a service a producer is willing and able to sell. They're the keywords you need in a definition of supply. So willing and able to sell at each and every price level. So the second thing you need to know is the relationship between price and quantity supplied. So you should know that the relationship between price and quantity supplied is positive. So as price rises, you should see quantity supplied increases. So you can pause the video and draw that on the diagram, please. Draw a supply curve. What you should have is this. Make sure your axes are labelled correctly so that you've got price on the y-axis and quantity on the x-axis, and you've labelled your supply curve that slopes upward with a small s. You also need to be aware of why this is the case. So pause the video and see if you can write down the 3 reasons why there's a positive relationship between price and quantity supplied. So you should have, first one is the profit motive. So as prices increase due to perhaps an increase in demand, producers will be incentivized to supply more to the market to gain more revenue and therefore profit. So that's the first reason. Second reason is that as firms increase their quantity, as they sell more of a product or produce more of a product, their marginal costs will rise, and therefore to compensate for that, they will put up their price. And the third reason is that new entrants will join a market if the price increases. So as demand rises in particular industries and the market price increases, you will notice that more firms join a particular industry. So on your diagram you can label and identify the movement up a supply curve and the movement down a supply curve and write what they were caused. So you can pause the video and do that. So you should have had an increase in the price causes an extension or an expansion in supply, and a decrease in price causes a contraction in supply. So it's important to know the difference between them two, and that a change in price causes a movement. And now what you can do, you can pause the video and identify what causes a change in supply at each and every price level. So hopefully you've got that it is non-price determinants of supply that causes a change in supply at each price, i.e. a shift, so supply can shift in and out. And the acronym you have for that, what you've probably wrote down, is PINTS WC. Okay? So supply will shift outwards if productivity improves, if there's a cut in an indirect tax, if the number of firms increases in a market, if the technology gets better, if a subsidy is awarded, which is a financial package given to firms by the government, if the weather is more favourable to agricultural production, or if costs of production decrease, they will all cause supply to shift outwards, and the supply curve will shift inwards to the left. So remember, left is less. If there is a decrease in productivity, if there is an implementation of an indirect tax, so perhaps on demerit goods, if the number of firms decreases, if technology gets worse, if the subsidy is taken away, so the government don't award a particular industry a subsidy anymore, if the weather worsens for or is negative for the production of a certain agricultural product, or if costs of production rise, that will cause supply to shift inwards. Okay, so that's basically supply. You can have a go at rewatching the video and answering the questions again if you didn't get them all right. Thank you for your time.